In a customer service setting, the language that we use to communicate has a critical effect on how our clients perceive the services that we offer. Positive language is a critical component of strong customer service skills. When you use negative scripting or language, clients feel that they're not taken care of and heard, and they usually associate this with poor customer service. In the grand scheme of things, clients who experience poor customer service lose their trust in the brand's products and offers, no matter how great they are. On the other hand, using positive scripting or positive language makes our clients feel that we are listening and that we are treating their concerns seriously. It also makes them feel that we're going the extra mile to treat them fairly and make them happy. Now remember that words are powerful and you can no longer take them back once you've said them. So from this point forward, let's ensure to have the proactive approach of using positive language only in our conversations with our clients, whether it's on phone, chat, or email. Using positive language or scripting takes practice and intention. So today we're going to discuss some common trigger words and phrases that clients don't usually like to hear and how to turn them into positive scripting or language. First one is the use of the words no or can't. This is probably the biggest one, and we're all guilty of this sometimes. But when we get into the habit of removing these words from our vocabulary, then it will really greatly improve our conversations. We always tell clients what we can do, other options and alternatives, instead of saying no or what we cannot do. For example, when the client says, "Can I tan twice in one day?" Instead of "No, you can only tan once," tell them what they can do. So you can say something like, "Yes, you can. You may use a tanning bed and then a spray session. It gives you the best results in one day." Instead of, "I can't make any changes until the past due is paid," or "Before we can cancel it, the balance needs to be paid." Try saying, "As soon as the account is up to date, we can make any changes." The second is the use of words "but," "however," or "unfortunately." Using these words can immediately trigger something negative from the client, like something you are unable to do for them, or that even if you follow it up with something positive, it still sounds like something bad or negative is going to happen next. So whenever possible, try to use "and." Here are some examples you can practice. Instead of saying, "We have an express solution, but it's $10 more," you can say, "We have an express solution for only $10 more, so you can shower sooner like you prefer." Instead of saying, "Unfortunately, the Versa is down at that location, but the Auto Rev is available," you can say, "It looks like the Auto Rev is running without any issues today." Next is contract or policy. Using these words comes with a bad reputation as well and can bring up negative experiences. It just makes our clients feel like they're trapped in a commitment or that they can not get out of that commitment anymore. So instead of using contract or policy, you can use the words form or agreement. Next is have to, must, or need to. These create stipulations and boundaries for the client. So even though there are products and services that do have stipulations, your statements can still be worded differently so that they sound more positive to our clients. For example, instead of saying you have to draft 2 more times before you can cancel, you can say once you have your last draft on May 1, you're able to put that request in. Next, I promise, I guarantee, or any absolute statements. Never promise or guarantee anything when you know that it's highly unlikely to happen or when you're unsure that the request can be resolved immediately or on the same day. So instead of saying, "For sure, I'll talk to my supervisor and she can definitely refund this as soon as possible," try saying, "Let me see what I can find out for you," or "I'm happy to look into this and see what options we have going forward." Next is don't. Instead of telling them what we don't do, we tell them what we do for them. Instead of saying, "We don't have direct store lines," try saying, We have all calls come to guest services so that we have time to answer all of your questions. Or, we answer calls for the stores in case the consultants are unable to get to the phone. Next, we have the words gotcha or Whenever you acknowledge or confirm something from a client, replace these words with complete sentences instead. We already talked about acknowledgement statements and empathy statements, so you should have a lot of sample scriptings or verbiages in your arsenal to replace these words with. So you can say something like, I completely understand where you're coming from. I hear you. Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. Please give me a second to look over your account. I do see what you're talking about. Please give me 1 second. That's right. I understand what you're saying. I'm going to take a moment to check on that. Next are the words expensive or cheap. Instead of saying these words, you can use the words best value or inexpensive instead. Instead of saying Sun Plus would be our cheapest membership, you can say, for something more inexpensive, we offer Sun Plus. Instead of saying the luxury is a bit more on the expensive side, you can say you get the best value with luxury. Next, no problem. Instead of saying no problem, you can always say I'll be happy to help you with your concern, or my pleasure. Transfer. The word transfer gives an impersonal impression and it feels like you're abandoning a client and that nothing gets resolved. Use the word connect instead to give a sense that you're still there assisting the client until resolution. You did not. Even though sometimes the client is at fault, we don't push it as it is, just to prove a point. Instead of saying that, we use non-blaming language instead. For example, instead of saying you did not cancel on time, that's why you were charged, you can say there was a charge on the account because the plan was not canceled on time. Or, it looks like there was one last draft on the 1st of this month because the cancellation was requested after the 20th. Next, saying I don't know or I'm not sure. Even though you truly don't know the answer and that's okay, try to position yourself as the subject matter expert as much as possible. This gives an additional layer of confidence to the client that they're in good hands. So avoid saying, I don't know about that, or I'm not sure what the answer to that question is. Let me ask. Or worse, please never say, I'm a new employee, so I'm still trying to figure things out. Remember that the client counts on you to know the answers, and if you don't know the answers, at least know where to find them. Ask your team supervisor or refer to your knowledge base to get the accurate answers. Here are some examples of how you can replace the words I don't know. You can say something like, that's a valid or good question. I want to make sure I give you the right information. Kindly give me 1 minute to check that, then I'll get back to you. Is there anything else? Now, this is not necessarily a negative language or scripting, but it can lead to an unnecessary longer call. So instead of saying, is there anything else? You can say something more confirmatory, like, have I addressed all your concerns today? Or have I answered all your questions today? Instead of saying, like I previously said, or like I said before, or again, if you want to make a point by referencing something you've already said, rephrase your statement or simply explain it again instead of saying this. Did you see the difference that it makes when you turn a negative scripting into a positive one? Just a really small change can have a huge impact on your conversation. That ends our lesson about positive language. For sure, after this video, you'll have more opportunities to practice some more positive language and scriptings, and also have some role play scenarios with your team so that you can practice on what responses would be best for a particular scenario.